At this point, I'm a firm believer that you might want something really, really, really bad. But if you're not supposed to have it right now, it's not for you. And that's okay. If you're
Mm.
supposed to have it, it'll come when it's supposed to. And if you're not supposed to have it, then that's okay. Because sometimes we want things and we want them when we're not supposed to have them. And they really put us in weird positions or bad positions. So it's just a matter of, for me, trusting the universe, but also trusting your gut and knowing that you're making right decisions. And if they're the wrong decisions, you'll learn something from them.
Hello, and welcome to the Studio Takeover podcast. I am here today with Kimberly Angel W. And this is actually the start of a really fun podcast series because I am speaking with photographers that have all worked with the No Women. And if you know any of my history, you know how important and valuable the No Women have been in the growth for my business. And when I reached out to the founder, Sarah Benkenfushi, I said, Sarah, I need access to your photographers. Let's start featuring these No Women and like elevating and lifting. And Kimberly is here with me today, based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. And she is my very first No Women interview. Kimberly, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So can you give the listeners just sort of like what is it that you do? Who do you serve? Why do you love what you do?
Yes, absolutely. So I am in the Raleigh area. I work specifically in the boudoir industry. So the primary client that I work with are women. And these are everyday women who are just looking for a moment of uplift. Maybe they've lost themselves over the years, and I am helping them get back to who they are at their core so that they can continue to serve in their lives the way that they need to. My biggest thing is creating a self-love army. So I help one woman at a time, and she goes into her community and she takes that energy and, it spreads. So it's
Yes.
literally one woman at a time, and finding people who will help uplift each other. So it's just love all around, really, for me.
No, I love that. Hashtag self-love army. Are you hearing this? This is awesome.
Yes.
Because I talk a lot about, the impact of our work, right? And you really kind
Yeah,
of dialed into it, right? Is
absolutely.
look, these women like need to tap in and reconnect with heart and maybe rediscover a piece of themselves that they haven't seen in a while. Because when we do experience that, that facilitates the transformation about connecting with who it is that we want to become. And you can't
Absolutely.
do that without connecting with your heart. So that's really incredible. So talk to me a little bit about your journey as far as like creating a business and moving into the boudoir space. Like, what has that journey been like for you?
Yeah, so it's been very interesting. I've been an artist my entire life. I started in high school with theater. And if you had asked me back then, I was going to be some Broadway actress. Went into college, started acting. I literally started making movies. So I thought I wanted to write and direct. And then when I moved into Raleigh, I lost a lot of those connections that I had in
Mhm.
that world. And so I wasn't creating. And it was kind of a quiet time for me. So someone gifted me a camera. And I realized that the same eye that you have for like filmmaking is
Mhm.
the same eye that you have for photography. And so I just started snapping. I would take pictures of anything and everything. And then one day I realized, okay, this could actually be kind of viable. I've never been great at working for other people. Like I can make you a lot of money, but do you want me showing up and 30 minutes late for work? No, absolutely not. So I need to be on my own schedule. And in my mind, this was kind of a great way to do that. And honestly, with boudoir, I kind of fell into it. I had a friend who was like, girl, I want some pictures. I want to gift them to my man. And I was like, girl, we can do that. We shot for 4 hours. If you saw those portraits, you wouldn't think the same photographer took them. But to see, even in that short period, the impact it had on her, I was like, maybe we're on to something. I decided I would do a few more.
Okay.
And that was the first time where I really sat at my computer and started editing and realized like, no, like, girl, you're good. I remember sitting literally, this is gonna be dramatic, but sitting and crying at my computer because I did it and it looked great and it was beautiful. And I knew that the client was going to be happy because, baby photographers, we all know
Oh, yeah.
that you have those moments where you're like, I don't know if they're actually going to like this. But you couldn't tell me those portraits weren't amazing. And I actually got to deliver them to her and her husband at the same time. And to see the way that he was responding to her, I was like, oh no, this is it. And so I decided I was going to do boudoir full time while I was still going to shoot other styles of photography. But I definitely had people say, like, are you sure you want to do boudoir? No one is going to want to hire you to take pictures of their children if you've got half naked women on your website.
Oh, please.
And isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So for me, I was just like, okay, bet I'm going to do this anyway.
Watch me. Yeah.
And still be able to do other styles of photography. But there's just something that is so connective about boudoir photography and being able to hold my clients and hold the space for them and let them really express themselves that made me want to step away from other styles of photography and go 100% with boudoir. And it has been the best journey I could have ever asked for. I always say this, but I don't know how I got here. I don't know how I got so lucky, but I'm so thankful to be in this position. And I don't want this to sound like I'm bragging, but I've worked with hundreds of women. And to see on an individual level the impact the style of photography has on each woman is mind blowing. And just for a couple of hours, right? They're with us just for a couple of hours. Yeah. And to see that impact, like I have chills just thinking about it. So
I love it so much. No, it's true because, I was watching this reel this morning and like the purpose of the reel was to like, I think sell a course to photographers or something and like, cool.
We support it.
But they opened with, most people just think your hands with a camera. And they had like an intern that was on a shoot with them or whatever and realized that the intern didn't know how to pose people or direct people. And like, so he hopped in and made people feel comfortable and gave some posing direction. And like all of the sudden, like, oh, it was really more about, like, how do we hold space? What is it that sets our work apart?
Yeah.
And I think when you really are connected with the impact that your work has, that's really when you can start expanding and commanding not just higher rates, but more work.
Yeah,
right? Because
absolutely.
There's so much conviction in your voice, right? About like, look, I can see what it does on this granular scale, person by person, and then watch how like her husband was now interacting with her because of this experience. And like that translates to confidence, y'all. And what happens when people are confident, right? They are kinder to their kids. They're kinder to their partner. They are able to show up in a different way with, I don't want to say swagger, right? But like, just.
No, it is swagger. It is swagger.
They're moving. You know what I mean? Like they approach their lives in the world differently when you're disempowered, right? And we get so comfortable in that disempowered space of overwhelm and doing all of the things and making sure that everybody else's needs are met, because that's, as women, that's been our role since the beginning of time. Right? And
absolutely.
For us, like it's gotta be for us. And when you are ready to step into that space, finding somebody that's like, I'm going to hold space for you to find you. Like, ooh, giving me chills.
We love it. We love it. It's one of those things where I joke that I'm just really good at photography, but I don't do this for the photography. I do it for the women. I really do. When you come into this space, you get to feel like you're on a mini vacation where you're not mom, you're not sis, you're not wife, you're not whatever your job title is. You are just you, and you get to just live in that moment. I tell my clients all the time, you're going to be anxious. You're going to be nervous. When you walk in that door, that's okay. But by the time you leave, all that anxiety just turns into the confidence of 1,000 Beyoncés. So, yeah, I love it. I literally live for it.
That's fantastic. So how did you, with the No Women specifically, right? Yeah. Like step into and know, like, these are my ladies. These are my people. Like, I am connected to this.
I was doing a lot of research when I first found out about the organization, and to see that their goal is almost the same goal that I have, but around women entrepreneurs, where it's like, let us hold space for you, let us help you, let us connect you. For me, I really, really resonated with that. As a solo entrepreneur, you feel alone a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like, I don't know if I'm making the right moves. I don't know if I should bounce this information off this person or that person. And to me, to see an organization that is set up specifically just for support on so many different levels, whether it's, raising money, or it's just, hey, here's the social outing, get out the house, girl. Get out the office, get out the house. So I'm really excited. This is a new organization for me, but I'm really excited to really start that journey. So,
oh, look out. If you don't have tickets to Summit, you need to just go. They have an annual conference that's always so much fun. The impact it's had for me and connecting with women on a national scale. With I photographed their city books, their state books, and their 100 Women to Know for the first class of 100 Women to Know in the country. So I would go on tours, right? North Carolina to Florida to Phoenix and back for a lot of 21 and 22, shooting in Sarasota and Tampa and Raleigh and Charlotte and Asheville. And so being able to connect, that's one of the things about being a photographer for Know, is you have this really beautiful opportunity to not just build your network, but to connect with these women in a real way and showcase them, right? So nobody gets the same backdrop. Everybody's photographed slightly differently and in a meaningful way that's on brand for them, that allows them to stand out and shine so they can be seen. And when you are the one that gets to be the one facilitates that with them, your connection is deeper than just meeting in a cocktail party.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see that. I'm excited, girl. I'll be honest with you. I'm really excited about it.
Awesome. Well, and it's funny too that the No Women just recently had a gala in Charlotte, North Carolina, to announce the 2024 Women to Know in North Carolina. And we were both at the same event and didn't even meet.
Yeah, but there were so many wonderful women there. And so to be able to rub elbows with the women that I did, it was great. And to be a part of that class was amazing. I've been in business for 10 years and I spend so much time uplifting and loving on other people. So to receive that love back it's indescribable, really.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I can't believe we didn't run into each other.
Oh, I'm sure we did. It was just a matter of which
making faces.
Yeah. Just oh, hey, gotta go get some more champagne. Yeah. And that's the thing. And in connecting with other people, like you mentioned, you've been in business now for 10 years. What is it about your business now that you wish you could have told yourself when you started?
If I could sit down Kimberly 10 years ago and just tell her, trust your gut, everything happens for a reason. At this point, I'm a firm believer that you might want something really, really, really bad, but if you're not supposed to have it right now, it's not for you. And that's okay. If you're supposed to have it, it'll come when it's supposed to. And if you're not supposed to have it, then that's okay. Because sometimes we want things and we want them when we're not supposed to have them. And they really put us in weird positions or bad positions. So it's just a matter of, for me, trusting the universe, but also trusting your gut and knowing that you're making right decisions. And if they're the wrong decisions, you'll learn something from them.
Right.
We're creating pathways that don't exist. So there's not necessarily a perfect roadmap, but it's up to us to create that roadmap and just look, you made that decision, roll with it, girl. We're going to make it happen one way or another.
Well, you're responsible for the decisions that you make, right? There can be blueprints and roadmaps, right, for how to do this thing. But inevitably, once you learn how to do the thing, it's about taking that information, right, and creating it to be for you.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You have to be a little bit crazy to be an entrepreneur, just a little bit crazy, just a little bit. So it's just knowing that you're making the decisions that you're making and that they will work for you in the long game.
Well, and like you said, you will learn from them. And, that's not to say that those lessons are painless. I spoke with one of my mentees earlier today on a group call, and she was talking about how, she's photographed an in-law, right? I think it was her sister-in-law. But because they were family, they didn't talk about money first. And now like they have this huge order and she's like, I don't know how to have this conversation. And I was like, maybe this is the part where like you don't get to, because the opportunity to have that conversation should have had like 4 or 5 steps ago. But it's painful in the moment. Like that for me was not educating a spouse for one of my clients. Right. And so he gave her carte blanche to spend whatever she wanted. And she spent, like $6,000. And next thing I know, like my phone's blowing up at 2 a.m. because he's having a panic attack and they're having a knockdown drag. And I was like,
why am I in this? What did I do?
Yeah. Like I just sold you some stuff. Like, oh no. Right. And that was a painful 3 weeks to come to a resolution. But it allowed me to say, okay, where did I go wrong? I have to take responsibility for the decision in the first place. All right, how do I install steps to ensure that never, ever happens again?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What would you say if I called your best friend right now and said, hey, Kimberly's best friend, if you could give me 3 words that tell me who Kimberly is as a leader in her business, what would you say?
Oh, I think she would say vibrant. And I don't know, not everybody loves astrology, but I'm very much a typical Virgo, and I very much believe that a lot of things are black and white and the rules are the rules. But, it's really cool having this space and being able to have other photographers in the space. In fact, I have a regular photographer here. Her name's Alex. She's amazing. She's a little bit younger. And she does things different. And it's been really exciting to see her operate in this space with a different mentality than me. Yes, everything is black and white, but she's teaching me that there's a little bit of gray.
Well, and it's okay if there's a little bit of gray, right?
Oh,
like
absolutely.
I love every time I meet a Virgo, I'm like, do you need a job? So yeah, I'm down with you 1000% on the astrology piece. Like I'm a Gemini, Sag Moon, Aquarius rising. I'm a little wild, but I'm also pretty boss, right? Yeah. And so it can navigating can be entertaining with me for sure. But it's interesting that you brought in like the particular aspect and like, look, this is my Virgo. I know I have steps and this is the detail and this is what I'm paying attention to. With that Virgo-ness in mind, that particularity, what does the next like 3 years look like for your business?
So I see multiple studios where I'm inviting the same invite that I have for clients, for photographers. Look, you want to be able to do this full time. Let me hold this space for you so you can come into this space and shoot without thinking about the surface level business aspects of it. And I also have a lingerie boutique. So right now she's online. So, and they're cousins, they go hand in hand, right? So being able to have a space that is lingerie, maybe on the first floor, photography on the second floor. That's the way that I see my business growing physically. But as far as in the next 3 years and where I'm at, I want to build more into that mentorship space. I want people who are business owners and specifically photographers, and especially women photographers, to feel comfortable enough to come to me whenever they have concerns. And that already exists, but I'd like to obviously market it and make it more of an official thing. And I don't know, man, I kind of feel like I could do some speaking engagements. I don't know. Because the one thing that I learned with lingerie, I have women who will come in and do lingerie try on, and it has the same effect as boudoir. In the sense that sometimes women will come in and they'll try on stuff that they would never, ever, ever try on by themselves.
Right.
They see themselves in this lingerie and they're like, oh my God, girl, like, who am I? And we've heard that a million times over. Who am I? Whenever we have boudoir sessions, right? And so I think public speaking can take it to the next level where I can reach more people with the same message. Sure. So yeah. So the next 3 years, girl, come shop at La Luxury.
Oh, I am here for it. I'm here for it. Because here's the thing. If we don't say it out loud, like it doesn't count.
No, it doesn't. If we hold on to it, the universe and the people who are around you who are rooting for you, don't know that you want that. So
Mm-hmm. Well, and they can't bring you the opportunity to take advantage of it, right? And like
exactly.
when we have dreams that we're scared of and we hold them really tightly and we're like, it's going to happen, it's going to happen, it's going to happen, but you don't say it out loud, like you're chopping yourself off at the knees, babe. So I
Mm-hmm.
love that you were bold enough to be like, I'm public speaking and we're going to have the boutique and then the studio above it and multiple locations and mentoring to like hold space and help elevate others. Like that's terrific. You know, when you were talking about the women that come in for the try on sessions and who am I? Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's about embodiment. And
Yes.
I talk a lot about embodiment, especially in like the CEO space, because as photographers, we're creatives, right? And so we love the vision and the creation aspects, and we like blinders on for the business side of things. And, you know, once you create a business, you've created something outside of yourself, even if it is powered by you.
Yes.
And you have to start embodying that CEO. But in that space with women trying on lingerie, it really is like embodying, what am I embodying? What aspect of myself am I bringing to the surface right now? And
Mm-hmm.
what is coming up for you when that happens?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Ooh.
Absolutely. And there's so many women who, and I'm sure you've seen this as well, they've either been forced to bottle that up
Mm,
or they felt like it wasn't appropriate for them to share that side of themselves. When you put someone and you're taking someone first off and asking them to take their clothes off.
right.
Now we're vulnerable. We're literally stripped and we're emotionally stripped. And my boudoir clients, we have a consultation, a video consultation. So by the time we get off the phone, we're besties. With the lingerie clients who come in, they don't necessarily get the opportunity to get to know me other than what they see on the website, right?
Okay.
So on some aspect, not only are they undressing, but they're undressing around someone who might feel like a stranger.
Sure.
But after a while, you'll start to feel comfortable. And then to put on something that has like a collar on it,
Mhm.
or something that has like a thigh cuff, you're really putting yourself in a form of play, like dress up, like when we were little girls, where you got to kind of explore these other aspects of your personality. And they're not coming in thinking that. They're coming in thinking, like, I just want some lingerie or I just want some pictures. But they leave with that bit. The beauty of it all is you never have to put pressure on when it comes to boudoir photography. You never do. It's going to work 100% of the time. You just have to trust the process and know that while this client is having fun and we're playing dress up, they're still having this huge impact to who they are as an individual, and that they will walk out the door. They're
I
gonna
love
walk out the door
that.
feeling amazing. I love my photographer girlies, and we chit chat all the time, especially the boudoir photographers in this area. And some of them are like, we're gonna do some like meditation and deep breaths and a little bit of yoga, whatever, before their sessions. With me, I'm like, what do you want to sip on? And let's have a good time. And because in my mind, boudoir is already it's the meditation, right?
Hmm.
You're just not physically actively stopping and saying I'm meditating. Because when my client is on top of this ottoman and they're posing and they're holding that pose, they have to be one with their bodies.
Hmm. Well, it's
In
like a
order to,
walking meditation, right? Like
yeah,
they're
absolutely.
embodying, right? Like this version. And, with boudoir specifically, right? Like that embodiment is tapping into a power we're taught to be afraid of.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know how you don't walk out of that situation and not just own that for, the rest of your life. And I have clients who come to me on an annual basis because they want that re-up on that
Yeah.
energy. And I've seen these women go from clean cut, buttoned up to, girl, I wore this lingerie bodysuit out this weekend. And you just, I don't know, man. It's like seeing a flower bloom. And how did I get here? How did I get to be in this position to help women get to that from point A to point B? Girl, I don't know, but I love it. I love it so much.
I mean, it's because of the love. I don't know if like you connected that.
I definitely
Like
said it out loud.
you love doing this thing. Like, of course, people are magnetized to it.
Yeah.
And just like, boudoir, we're taught to be afraid of that power. we're also taught to be afraid of what we could become because change is scary. And when you love being the facilitator for that for people, you will have to fight people off for the rest of your life because of it. They're attracted to you because of that.
Here we go with astrology again. I was raised with a Pisces mother.
Okay.
And she really told me I could do whatever I wanted. And so like as an adult, I'm 36 years old. I really feel like I could do whatever I want. And that fearlessness, I think, is what's guiding me to this point. So what's next? Everything. Everything.
What would you say has been the biggest lesson in as a business owner that made you sort of stop, take stock of things, and really make a shift?
You know, perfectionism is the death of a lot of things. And for me, the biggest lesson has been really just to put it out there. If it's not perfect, if you haven't figured out what the end looks like, it's okay. Just put it out there and just roll with it. And whatever happens, happens. And that is not the easiest sentence for me to say. Whatever happens, happens.
Coming from a Virgo, that's a lot.
It is. But there are so many things that I think about where I thought it was a great idea, but because I couldn't say this would be the outcome of it, I didn't follow through. And it makes you want to ask yourself what could have been. I always think about that little picture of the guy and he's like chiseling away in the dark cave, right? And he stops right before the diamonds. And I never want to be that person. And so there are times where you might feel like you're moving in the dark and you don't know exactly what you're doing, but that's okay as long as you're doing it. Whatever it is, as long as you keep doing it, it's okay. So definitely letting go of perfectionism, still working at it.
Well, I mean, that's from a Virgo, like I said, because it is that like detail orientation and understanding that like it's more important to be doing than it is to be perfecting at all times, because the doing is what brings the refinement, right? It's, absolutely. Let me measure that. Let me measure that. Let me measure that. When you start getting into like Kaizen philosophy and, it's just continued refinement, and that comes by putting in the reps. So that's really, really terrific.
So I have a lot of processes in place, as you can imagine. Even having the perfect process in place, things change and people change and people's wants change, right? So even though you might have this process that's worked for 5 years, because you've elevated and you've changed and your business changed, sometimes that means that process also has to change and it's not perfect anymore. So that refinement is 100% the number one part of business in my mind. It's being able to recognize when things need to change and flux and be willing to go, okay, well, it's not working. Let me try something slightly different.
No, absolutely. And it's in that refinement and having it be okay, because one of the issues you can run into when we're consistent with our refinement is that refinement turns into paralyzation. So analysis paralysis, and being able to recognize the difference between the two, right? Because once you have done it once, then it's replicable. If it's replicable, that means it can be refined, right? But it can also be repeated. So you've got proof of concept.
Yep.
When people are building, right, and they're trying to just even understand proof of concept, then it's, okay, I can't because it's not perfect. That perfectionism piece that comes up. Well, and perfectionism comes from shame, right? And so like we want to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a position to be shamed again. And, oh, wait, if I just keep doing, it will evolve and grow on its own. I just have to recognize like when that shift needs to occur.
Yep, absolutely.
And are you natural light or you shoot with strobes? Like, tell me about just like the logistics. What do you love to shoot with?
Yeah. So I am a natural light girly, but if necessary, I don't mind a little fill light. I'm lucky enough to have a studio in downtown Raleigh. It's in an older building, so I have these giant windows. So I'm very, very fortunate. But even when I go into client spaces, I always carry my continuous lights or my LED lights, just in case, because you never know the situation you're going to walk in and
Just
want
need
to be left.
a little extra love, a little light love.
Exactly. And I'm definitely like a dark and moody girl. If you look at my portraits, they're very sensual and sexy and very cinematic like, if you can imagine. So yeah, man.
Ooh, I love it already. We're gonna get along just fine.
Did we just become best friends?
I think so. I think so. It's that North Carolina way, you know? So where can people find you online? You mentioned that there's the lingerie boutique online, the studio
Yeah.
itself. Like, tell me all the
Ooh.
things.
The studio is 919photography.com. So it's NINE, the numbers 19photography.com. On Instagram, I am 919 underscore photog. And then the studio is 919 studio. And then if you're interested in the lingerie stuff, the name of it is La Luxure Lingerie. So that's less in French. So LALUXURE lingerie.com and La Luxure Lingerie on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here with me today. This was too much fun. And next time we're in the same room, we actually need to connect.
No, absolutely. We'll make that happen for sure, Kat. This was absolutely amazing. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And I'm excited to know you and looking forward to seeing more of your work. And I got to go check out your lingerie because, well, I have enough dresses.
Well, girl, yeah, just send me the address. I got you.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Studio Takeover podcast. I am your host, Kat Ford Coates, and Kimberly Angel W., my friend. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.